I've been busy assembling an adventuring party for the First Light HeroQuest box. We've already worked on the Barbarian, we moved on to the Wizard, and my absolute favourite, the Dwarf. Today we're visiting the Elf to complete our set of 4 adventurers, and next time we'll be working on the Dragon. This video is for anybody who wishes to learn how to paint HeroQuest or miniatures in general, with a consideration for those who don't want to be mini painters and just want to get them colourful enough for tabletop. If you haven't watched my previous HeroQuest videos, I've made a playlist which I'll link below the stream. I highly recommend people watch those first, as it covers a lot of the basic techniques, and it does go into explanation about why I make certain decisions about painting which areas before others. So today I'm starting off by painting this model with Barbarian Brawn, one of our flesh tones from 2 Thin Coats. We're going to be covering the hands, the face, and do not forget behind the ears. To make this approachable for even children, we're going to cover everything on the model once. Just get one basic colour over everything and use the minimum required paint to get it on the table. From there, we're going to highlight up, levelling up everything to a tabletop plus standard. So for the feathered cloak, we're going to use some Eldar blue. Now, with the palette of the elf, we will be using multiple layers to build up a colour. With the fair skin tone and the light hair, building up from dark to light will give you a better coverage. But as long as you do 2 thin coats, or more when they're needed, you should get a solid coverage. For the undershirt and the pants, we're going to be using Hydra Green. Now I yield, this is quite difficult to see on my camera setup, so here's a quick reference picture. While this is an unofficial card, it is the exact same stats, just with the new poses of the First Light miniatures. If you want a copy of these cards, including the other adventurers, I will link them down below in the description crediting the artist. The main areas you're looking to cover is the top of the thigh and the inside of the elbows. Not forgetting the dangly crotch piece, which we'll also add some gold to later. For this, and pretty much all models, I do recommend a size 1 brush. These are my custom line, these are Arrowhead size 1, but I've been using a size 1 for everything for multiple years. As long as it's got a solid point and a thick body, you really don't need another brush, other than for things like dry brushing and PVAing. We're moving on from Barbarian Brawn up to Dwarven Flesh. We're building up those lighter and lighter shades till we get to a more elven skin tone. Again, don't forget the ears. At this time you have a choice. You can either use your metallic paints, or if you're a little bit more seasoned, you can use non-metallic paints. For me, I like the cartoon style, so I'm going to be using non-metallics, but this guide is exactly the same for both. If you're more comfortable with metallics, you can use a base coat of Scorched Silver, giving it a base coat over all the metallic areas. For me, I'm using a non-metallic base tone. Many painters like to flex that non-metallic metal as a really advanced skill. It's just highlighting with a light source in mind. If you learn to blend, and you learn to highlight, and you're mindful of a light source, anyone can do it. I openly admit I've not fully mastered non-metallic metals, but I do enough of it well enough that it suits my style, and I like my miniatures. That's the important thing. If I had 1 wish or 2 wishes, I honestly wish content creators were more honest about approaching non-metallic metals. The other wish would be that Warhammer world didn't smell of semi-solid fart and unclean penis, but I digress. When you're satisfied with your base layer of metal, you can move on to the hair with some Dragon Fang. Don't forget the few strands dangling down at the front, and make sure you join that gap between the brow and the hairline. Many of you will have limited time to paint your miniatures, I certainly feel that, so do feel free to use a hairdryer to speed things up, but be very mindful these PVC miniatures do go a little bit floppy on the higher temperatures. Here I'm highlighting up the pants by taking that Hydra Green and levelling it up with some Jade Green. So using Skeleton Legion, I go over the hair one more time, taking it up a shade. We cover this entirely, including the recesses, building a solid coat. As I mentioned before, with these fairer shades, it is well worth building up your layers slowly and consistently. Feel free to operate from a brown or even an orange colour if you want to build it up a little quicker. The reason I'm showing you this way is it's the easiest way to get here with the least number of paints. Going from top to bottom, we're going back down to Scorched Earth, picking out the booties as well as any belts and strappings you can find. One of the things I really like about this model is ambiguously elf. For me, coming from a Warhammer past, it reminds me of a high elf. If you use a purple shade and maybe some blacks thrown in there, you can easily say it's a dark elf. Go green and autumnal colours, you could easily say it's a wood elf. So if you're somebody who wants to change up your colour palette, you've got plenty of options. And with the triad system, you could easily just pick a 3-colour triad and just use one as a base and then 2 highlights. Over to the gold now, and you have your choice between your metallic glistening gold or your non-metallic gold shade. We're looking for the sword pommel, the sword hilt, and the decorative area of the flappy, crotchy thing. At this stage, you've now covered the entire model in one base coat of paint. This is perfectly serviceable for table. But if you want to go further, stick with me and highlight up your silver with some plate armor or a non-metallic mid-tone. If an area is more likely to catch the lighter the shade should be. So here we're picking out all the corners on the kneecaps, the edge of the blade, the edge of the jewellery, pretty much any sharp edge really. The decision you made earlier about going metallic or non-metallic has to be consistent. You can't do metallic gold with a non-metallic silver, it throws off the whole effect. So make sure you're consistent. If you tried one and you don't like it, you can always paint over it with the other. As a reference, look back at some of the older comic books and the way they did metallics. Jack Kirby did a really good job on people like the Silver Surfer and the original Iron Man. I, however, have a real soft spot for this Thor cover. Look at the way the lighting's hitting the top of the muscularity. We're going to go back to the cloak and pick out many of those feathers, and we're going to use Relic Blue to do so. By taking the edge of our brush, or the tip if you're feeling confident, we're going to trace an outline of the feathers. More accurately, we'll start with good intentions, and then we'll just drag the brush over the entire surface, leaving the recesses the darker shade of blue. This happens with all mini painting when you get to something like this, I promise you. Don't forget to do the inner edges of the cloak as well, and once you're comfortable with that, we're going to do it again with Seafarer Blue, this time with a little bit more detail and precision. Using the edge of the brush here will allow you to do this at higher speed and maintain the tip of your brush for longer. Whenever you're doing edging of any kind, the side of the brush will be your best friend. It's a good practice to stress the edge of the cloak and the bottom tails, outstanding it from the rest of the model. And going from the outside of the model to the inside, we're going to go back highlighting the pants with Ghoul Green. This should really make it stand against the metals and the blue, finally being more visible on camera. As the model progresses, you will need to be more precise to save making mistakes, but as always, it's just paint, you can top them up as you go. And with the highlight of the next metal, most of those little edges you've touched, you can cover up at this stage. For those using metallics, you're going to be using Mythril Blade, and for those using non-metallics, it'll be your non-metallic highlight. This is going to be the exact same application as before, picking out those hard light edges, but we're going to leave a little bit of the previous shades behind. This is going to create a gradient of our 3 tones, approximately 30% each. It's time to go back to the hair, and we're going to do so with a flesh tone wash, watered down 50%. It is better to do 2 thinner washes than to do 1 heavy wash. What we're trying to do is build the recess, not bring the entire hair shade down. It is also very imperative that you do not overflow your brush. If you do, that watery paint will run down into the rest of your model and make it very difficult to tidy up. If it happens, just wash your brush and mop it up with a wet brush before it sets. If you are using the 2 thin coats paint, I do recommend you go to their website and check out this colour wheel. If you scroll down, it has this helpful guide to show you which paint is for which shade, what type of effect and what type of use it has. Trying something new for this series, we're going to use the blue glaze, and this is going to go all over the sword and the armour to give it a more elven magical hue. Start off by watering down the glaze paint about 50% and make sure you damp your wet brush before you start to remove some of the moisture. The difference between a wash and a glaze is a wash is highly fluid, applied all over a large dry area to create base tones. A glaze is a little bit more precise. You use a controlled thin layer applied over a dry, previously painted colour, adding a gentle hue to it. We are not wanting it to pool in the recesses. Washes primarily pool. If done correctly, that glaze should not take long to dry, but do make sure it's completely dry before applying Ancient Forest to all those leathers you worked on earlier. Feel free to rough up the edges and make them look a little worn, but I do feel like an elf will be quite prim and proper. Once you finish with that layer, move on to Wasteland Brown and do the extreme edges and corners of things like the belt strap where the most wear and tear will occur. While that is drying, I am going to show you the wash I mixed up for the cloak. We're going to take a little bit of our Eldar blue from the beginning, mix in a spot of black, and we're going to water it down to this consistency. For anybody who's not seen this before, this is a wet palette. It helps keep your paints alive longer on the palette. And we're going to apply it liberally to the cloak, making sure not to hit any other areas we've already worked on. This is going to bring down the brightness and close the gap between layers, making them look smoother and more well blended. Allow that time to fully dry before going back to the gold with your non-metallic mid-tone or your dragon's gold. We're going to highlight this in the same way we did the silver armour, again working towards the light source with lighter and lighter edges. To make things look extra shiny, we're using non-metallic silver or Mythril Blade. This is for the absolute edges of all those blades and panelling on the armours. If you, however, like me, went the non-metallic metal route, you're then going to use some of your white to edge the blade. This is going to be your utmost reflection of your ambient light. We are then going to go back to the skin, and for its namesake, we're going to use Elven Skin over all the highest points of the skin. Knuckles, the back of the hand, the nose, the chin, and the brow. Most importantly, those little knife ears, and make sure you highlight the front and the back of those. Maybe they're born with it, maybe it's vampire fang, but either way, it's going to make a great highlight for the hair. After the washes we put in earlier, this should pop and make it look very luscious in your very traditional elven style. We are also going to follow suit with that Seafarer blue, picking out the boning in each of the feathers and the edges. We're going to bring back that contrast we lost earlier, but it's going to look a lot more natural and refined. If you want to take it further, you can mix in some white and pick out the very edges of the cloak and the tailing. On my channel, I'm live on Twitch 5 days a week. I paint a lot of terrain. One of my philosophies is your miniatures should be brighter and standing out against the terrain. So that's why I really like to do these popping colours. At this point, it's a great idea to go around the model and top up any areas you think that need improving. For me in this case, I noticed that the cloak was a lot brighter than the blades, and they're the ones that should be reflecting the light. So I went around again, doing another coat of white, but if you are using metallics, use that Mythril blade again. I then decided to take some of that white to pick out just a few feathers to break it up from looking too consistent. Feathers shouldn't be behaving like fabric, so just picking out one or two with a little white edging makes everything just sit a little more right. Moreover, the elves are the fairest of them all, so I used that same white to pick out another highlighting on the hair. At this stage, if you are happy with what you're done and you're ready to take it to the tabletop, take some of your Doom Death black and coat the base. If this is finished, congratulations. If it's not, you can always go back to it, tweak it and change it, and the model is only finished when you are happy with it. You can come back to it a year from now, tackling it with even more skills that you bring to the table. This has been my 4th video in the series and a milestone where I've hit 2,000 subscribers, so thank you to absolutely everyone who's put even a single minute of their time into my YouTube. My Patreons have been amazing, allowing me to do this content, and I hope I'll see you again when I tackle the dragon.